It's been so long since I've cursed in the title of my own goddamn videos. Look at how free I am right now. Oh, geez. Is this how people feel when they've been let out of prison? I'll never run out of things to rank. You think I don't read comments, but I do. One day you're actually gonna wake up and just have a 45-minute grass blade ranking video on the top of your recommended section. It'll happen. But for now, let's focus on how gosh friggin' darn beautiful these paintings are. Expertly crafted, carefully composed, masterworks one and all. An incredibly detailed sight of the Erd Tree in full majestic glory, an exemplary portrayal of the Academy and its commanding influence, and this one's got the fucking moon in it. What a marvelous display of artisanship, and that's not in the game. That's not a real painting. What is this? What? Is this a cut content video? Where did this come from? Oh wait, I know what that is. That's a metal print from Displate. Displate is all about collecting your favorite game franchises, movies, and general interests in your room and decorating your space in a way that fools your IRL friends into thinking you have good taste. They have some branded designs, but what really makes them shine, in my opinion, are the unique prints they accept from independent artists, like this Hollow Knight plate, or this Hollow Knight plate. I have two of them. Each print comes with their own mounting system and cleaning wipe. Get the protective leaf started like this, press it against the wall and remove the white paper, and make sure to air out any bubbles along the way. Okay, so I did this one upside down, but that's fine. It should be fine. Nobody panic. It shouldn't matter. That's not the point. Stick the magnet on there and hold for about 5 to 10 seconds and then slap that bitch right on your wall. Oh, and these are all made out of metal, by the way. Quit shoving lame-ass push pins into your wall and get one of these instead. It's even cheaper using my special discount link down below. They say your failings in life make you stronger, and if that's the case, then whoever painted this piece should be harnessing the fucking Chaos Emeralds by now. Death and existential dread are common themes in modern art. They're the perfect excuse for you to wake up sad every morning, and they're as ubiquitous as cover shooters were in 2013. And what better imagery to manifest that dread than a pile of eroded tombstones, almost as if the painting itself is yelling, "Time swallows all, your death doesn't matter." Holy shit, I'm depressed. The piece has some strong vertical continuation with the upwards pointing tombstone, the two vertical lines created by the archway, the tree, and the eroded chapel in the distance. But the arch is really bothersome to me. It makes the continuation too strong in my opinion and creates this giant arrow that leads my eyes straight off the painting. I feel like the whole setup of this piece would have been significantly better if the giant archway just wasn't there to begin with. I mean, you had this near immaculate view of a minor Erd Tree. I don't know, maybe I'm just looking for reasons to be funny just by saying it's bad, but this isn't some social commentary on how man-made structures are ruining the view. It's just a bridge. It won't get offended if you pick another vantage point. Fuck's sake, just move over to the next cliff. And now for the homing instinct reward. Yep, that's right, we're ranking the loot you get to. These scarabs roll clumps of incantation during their labors. In other words, holy shit. This isn't a Fashion Souls video, so I'm not going to tell you all the random outfits you can squeeze this into instead of just making Melania with the scarab head, but I do know the opinions on helmets like this are often very polarizing. Either it's literally your child and you will cherish it so much you mod it into the next 5 games you end up playing, or you've already vommed at the sight of it and are seriously considering finding another video to watch just because I reminded you it existed. It removes 15% of the FP cost for all incantations, and I promise that's not a lot. If you're lucky, you can get away with casting 1 or more incantation than you normally would, and you're taking 10% extra damage too, so it's probably going to be a health top off and not something awesome like a dragon laser. 10% extra damage might as well be getting coughed on harder up until you get to Altus, but any point beyond that and your enemies bring out the health nukes and start becoming an actual problem. It's fine, but you deserve better, I think. The Prophecy painting uses more height and vertical continuation to convey the height of the piece. Look at how fucking high up we are, the painting says, struggling with that weird cognitive dissonance of whether or not it wants to push us over the edge just to see what would happen. And that somehow doesn't make me want to throw up when I look at it. So bleak color scheme aside, I actually kind of like this one. I like the strong upwards diagonals formed by the cliffside that naturally lead your attention to the castle in the background. It's not driving home some grandiose message about how all our accomplishments will amount to nothing because even the brightest paintings become dust one day. Someone just got really inspired by some fucking trees and decided they loved them so much they were going to paint them. I don't know if analyzing the art here is actually a funny bit. I assume a small portion of you are vaguely interested, but to the most of you, I just sound like a guy in his mid-20s trying to convince himself his undergrad program was worth something. Motherfucker breathes fire. I could probably just end it there and give it an S, but I don't want to because the fact that it breathes fire isn't even the most important thing you need to know about it. If you don't mind the bird having a push pin for a head, the Warhawk summon is the perfect distraction that seems to outclass most others in its tier in multiple ways. It doesn't do too much damage, but it has the ever-coveted utility of being able to fucking fly over all its problems. Most of the range summons are fussy little stuck-up bitch babies that can't even distinguish a dragon from a marble pillar, let alone aim in a straight line, and most of the melee summons are either way too weak to even acknowledge, or they punch a hole through whatever looks at them funny like they just dry-swallowed fistfuls of horse pills for breakfast. The Warhawk is a nice middle ground when it feels like it does just enough. It's not a pushover, but it's not carrying you through the game on its back either. I already have it down as one of my most underrated summons in another video because the amount of situations where it just gets stomped from the word go is extremely minimal, if any. This artist is my own personal example of technical skill doesn't make good art. Yes, the painting looks well crafted and well thought out. I admire the resurrection painting and the execution of its ideas, but that doesn't necessarily mean I like it. Particularly the reason the artist felt the Academy deserves to be put on such a nice looking pedestal, when in actuality, the pedestal it sits on is crafted from the false promise of diversity and absurdly high intuition rates. Wow, I'm not even trying to hide my bitterness today. Hey audience, can you tell I fucking hated college? Is that coming across clearly enough? The painting frames the Academy to be this big boast. You can see a minor Erd tree in the background as though it's trying to communicate the idea of having a nice view outside, while the principal is projectile vomiting space lasers down your throat because you took a bathroom break without asking for the hall pass. Is this a painting or an institutional ad? What is this? What am I looking at? I'm surprised this isn't accompanied with a little blurb at the bottom left boasting about its 26% graduation rate. And why are there tombstones in the foreground? Unless you might be trying to drive home the idea that overexhaustion in youth tends to lead to an early death. Or maybe I'm an overanalyst and someone on the environment design team just really liked that tombstone asset for some reason. I call this the Sorcerer Respec package. You can buy it off the FromSoft Battle Pass for $10, but if you successfully find the painting's location, the game will just give it to you for free. A set of Juvenile Sorcerer clothes and a Larval tier in case you made the grave mistake of grinding your faith up to 40, only to get to Altus where every living organism on God's cursed earth starts eating lightning and prayers for breakfast. And it literally doesn't stop for the rest of the game. The Juvenile Scholar set has some weird shit about rebirth in the description, which is supposed to hint to the idea that larval tiers allow you to respec. You know, in case you didn't read the larval tier description by itself, that just tells you that's exactly what it's fucking used for. If you had told me 6 months ago that I, the stubborn brick wall of a person that I am, who never makes bad decisions ever, would eventually make respecking a routine part of every normal playthrough, I'm pretty sure I would have accused you of a crime. But you have no reason not to. There are so many goddamn somber stones and smithing materials in the game that you can easily end up maxing out 3 or 4 different weapons just by complete accident by the time you're finished. There's a total of 18 in the game each run, and you are going to need all of them by the time you reach NG+7, because whatever strategies you had during the first couple runs eventually just give way to retooling your entire build once per legacy boss so nothing one-shots you. The real allure behind the Redmane painting for me is that I feel like the artist was more enticed to paint Redmane Castle way in the background, while leaving all the negative space in between the columns in the foreground and the castle that's a good few nautical miles away. The lack of detail gives me a sense of wonder, if anything. It communicates all the dangers of the land of cuddly times that is Caelid in a single perspective, and its one single aim as a painting is to make sure you absolutely do not pick this place for your annual family vacation this summer. The vertical continuation of the columns and the distant horizon line formed by the desert work together to draw your eye to the castle, as though it's warning you that this is the only proper rest stop in the entire desert and the next gas station is 53 miles north. The shorter column looks like the business end of a penis, which symbolizes the cathedral-sized amount of fucking you've signed up for upon entering the wilds without preparation. It's raw and it's real, and that's what I think art like this should be. It's not afraid to tell you it has nothing to offer, and that if you come too near it, you might start getting dizzy breathing in all the fumes because the artist had to make paint out of crab guts and demi-human shit. The reward you get from going to the scenery is the Rain of Arrows Ash of War, and goddamn is this some top tier treasure. Well, kind of. It's a niche pick for sure. It's not going to be used as prolifically as Bloodhound Step or Cheat Engine, but that's not to say it doesn't have its proficiencies. It takes out dragons and magma worms like HBO cancels shows, and it's great for inflicting status ailments onto anything stupid enough to stand right under them. It's honestly a pretty great Ash, all things considered, and the only reason I'm giving it a B is because of the reckless disregard for life I felt during the Olympic mountain scaling expedition required to even get to the artist in the first goddamn place. This doesn't feel like platforming FromSoft, it feels like speedrun tech. If you think I'm wasting 10 minutes of my time on a jump puzzle after seeing how you handled getting to the frenzied flame ending, you can dine on some rectum ratatouille, my friend. Fuck you, I'm taking the whirlwind down. Oh, of course. Of course you patched it. Okay, turns out you can still do this, you just have to get massively lucky, and even then you're still probably better off doing the platforming. And you better get used to hugging that fucking tree anyways, because if you try to fight that laser golem on the ground without a colossal weapon, you're just gonna piss yourself off. The champion song painting has a lot going on. The obvious major focal point here is the hero's grave guarded by the Black Knife assassin that's conveniently left out of the picture, maybe because she was feeling insecure that day, but the piece does seem heavily weighted to the left without much going on anywhere else. However, the angles of the mountain slopes slowly guide the viewer's eyes towards the left of the painting, not only comfortably leading them to the hero's grave, but also the distant volcano manor far in the background. It's one of the paintings of all time. I'll give it that. This is undeniably a painting. I'm not going to look at this and confuse it for a steak and cheese sandwich. It's pretty clear what we're dealing with here. I feel like I have a reflex to hate this painting. The scenery is dishonest. There's no lightning or Black Knife assassins. The fucking dragon you end up aggroing is about 10 feet directly behind where this was painted, and I didn't feel like fighting it, so instead I just hugged the edge of the cliffside like Solid Snake avoiding a claymore. I'm gonna be honest, it was around this time where I started playing the new Resident Evil 4 remake and just intermittently gave attention to the script whenever I felt like it. So I'm not saying the video diminishing in quality is something you should expect. I'm just making sure everyone knows I have better things to do. Anyways, I am not accepting any bad opinions on the Harp Bow. Criticism is now illegal, okay? It is punishable by death, internet death. Or just comment deletion, I guess. I declare this bow one of the greatest. It's great for a bard build even if the damage is absolutely pissing with mediocrity, and I don't even care the slightest bit. I love this weapon and all of the nothing it does. Barrage is nothing special unless you just want to turn yourself into a status cannon for about 5 seconds, and there's nothing against that. Nothing against that at all. I just think you're a reprehensible coward is all. And you should probably have your account password leaked. I like the little harp sounds every time you fire the bow because it makes me feel like Cupid. I don't know, someone make me a fairy wings mod. Get on it. Why is it that every time someone has an opportunity to capture a brilliant scene of the Erdtree, there's just a big fucking wall in the way? I went to art school, could you tell? The Flightless Bird painting is a gentle journey that begins at the bottom and steadily guides the viewer upwards towards the Erdtree, with vertical continuation at the trees, then up towards the castle wall, and finally the Erdtree itself as it extends far off the painting to convey the throbbing majesty and size of this tree. The branches slowly pointing back down and tickling the castle walls really just show you how massive this tree is. The whole existence of this painting is to show you that the tree is king shit of fuck mountain and it takes no criticism. It's part of why I have an appreciation for it, even if it's not my favorite painting. There are no tricks involved, no sleight of hand or NFT scams, there isn't a dragon spawning behind you threatening to shove a thunderstorm up your ass. The downward angles of the branches gently guide you back down to the castle walls, almost as though you can climb them yourself if you wanted, enforcing a never-ending cycle of climbing up towards the tree and then being gently led back down for all of eternity. I'll give it a B. No, the bloodflame exploit no longer works in 1.09. Okay, glad we cleared that up. I've seen no one else say anything about it, so I just thought I'd throw that in there. Does that mean this incantation is now useless? Well, kinda, yeah, but that's just because with one or two exceptions, it was pretty much always useless. Sometimes I like to set myself on fire and sit down at a grace so I can capture a screenshot of me casually relaxing while burning alive at the same time because I think it's funny. And I guess it's good on frostbite builds since you're just constantly resetting it and doing huge damage every 10 seconds. But that's not really impressive anymore, and I feel like that's just common sense to most people by now. Oh well. Tell you what if my editor throws up a live split timer in the corner? There, that's better. Now I look like I know what I'm doing. Does it look cool? Yes. Does it look funny? Yes. Am I giving it a C? Yeah, I'm giving it a C. Finally, the Sorcerer painting. More vertical continuation, but this time the layout is pointing directly upwards to the moon. It's a piece of grand scale that aims to communicate one thing and one thing only. Look at how goddamn big this fucking moon is. This was the same moon that Renala herself gazed upon, or so says the description. The height and size of the moon presiding over everything else in the scene lends itself to this moon's power and influence. Kinda wish the artist would have mentioned the giant laser skeleton guarding the bridge just to the left of it, since the artist had to have at least shook its hand to get here. I guess it's better than having King Ghidorah suddenly appear behind me to tell me the painting could have wider strokes and then tail swipes me before I get the chance to say, your mom needs wider strokes. Overall, it's a C for me. Yes, it's beautiful. I can tell the artist was very moved by what they saw, but the moon perpetuates unrealistic standards that younger moons may feel influenced by, which just results in an awkward conversation for everyone involved. I'm gonna level with you. This doesn't look good with anything. This shit looks ridiculous. But it's the type of ridiculous that's easy to appreciate. Kinda like unlocking the beam saber in Silent Hill 3. Oversized helmets have always been somewhat of a staple in these kinds of games, so in this regard, I almost feel like the Greathood either deserves an S rank, or it just shouldn't be ranked at all. I never wore the Mensis cage because it had good arcane and frenzy resistance, while also offering serviceable physical defense in a way that made me question if my Tomb Prospector attire was actually that efficient. I wore the Mensis cage because I had a fucking statement to make. It gives you an intelligence and a faith boost, ironically making it a nice fit for Golden Order incantations and lava sorceries. And nothing goes better with that dull silver and red Gelmir knight armor than a traffic cone on your head. Which, interestingly, isn't even a first for FromSoft games. If you really want to look the part, I suppose you could match it with the Queen's Robe or some other deep blue sorcerer garment, but anything else just makes you look like Pyramid Head. And notice how I didn't say that was a bad thing. These are my two imaginary friends, Out and Row. They don't exist. There is no Out and no Row. There's no outro. Well, I sure hope that was funny to somebody.